I'm Taylor Barr, your midnight DJ.
You just heard Low by Chet Baker, Faker by Chet Faker. I'm Taylor Barr, your midnight DJ, and a cat shot into the living room of an upscale southern home, one of those old colonial types that probably used to have slaves on the property. It was a pretty house with a forgotten past, and it housed a newlywed couple. They were eating dinner when the cat had entered. It was raining outside, and the furball rocketed into the house as if it were invited. The couple had never seen this cat before, and they were worried. They thought that it was a stray, or maybe even feral. Either way, they wanted nothing to do with it, which worked out, because the cat wasn't too keen on the couple either. It shook off the wet and rubbed against anything and everything that absorbed moisture. It was a black cat, with green eyes and a slice missing from its ear. It must have gotten into a fight before, and the couple was all too aware of that fact. They saw it as a hooligan, a scoundrel, a cat with no respect for authority, which was true. But most cats are. Most cats do not follow the laws we have set in place. Most cats aren't even aware of the laws that humans have established. All the cats do is enter stranger houses and ruin their furniture with their matted hair and their wet attitudes. Up next, How Lucky by Kurt Vile and John Breen, whatever. And after that, Home by Morgan, featuring Walk the Moon. That was Sedona by Houndmouth. I'm Taylor Barr, your midnight DJ, and there is a specter over the town, folks, an ancient aura that remains from the days of wild, when this land was unowned, bare, natural, when the world was new and indifferent. It's a feeling. We can tell it's there. We can tell it's perceiving us. It watches, or listens, or feels. It might even be in our minds. Whatever the means, it is focused on us, and it impacts us. Many decisions throughout the town are influenced by this character. It has swayed elections. It has even previously decided mayors. Not our current one, though. She won fair and square. The specter has little hold on her. It plays in the back of our minds, a little tune with swells and falls and arpeggios that can ruin our days. Today was ruined by a specter. There's a feeling throughout the town of dread, of fear even. There were countless fights. Hundreds of citizens arrived at the hospital begging for care. Dozens of people attended couples therapy and even personal therapy. The specter has let go now, thankfully. It dissipated around 5 p.m. I'm sure you all noticed that. We made it through another day. Up next, Sitting, Waiting, Wishing by Jack Johnson. A few announcements, and after that, I Pay Your Way in Pain by St. Vincent. You just heard. Let's see. Yeah. You just heard Can't Get There From Here by REM. I'm Taylor Barr, your midnight DJ. And the doctor looked at Mandy with pity. She had been experiencing pain in her head for the past few weeks, a dull, consistent pressure behind her eyes that, as of yesterday, was getting in the way of her work. It didn't matter before. To her employer, pain was fine as long as she could still work. She was encouraged to stay at her station until she physically could not. She had scans and tests and all sorts of things to tell what could possibly be wrong. It was her brain. Her frontal lobe had a mass, nothing conclusive, not yet, but with the way things have been progressing, it was a safe assumption that this would end up killing her. The doctor told her that all she needed now was to know about the mass And so she told her about the mass, about the operations that could remove it, and about the cost of said operations. Mandy was shocked. She couldn't afford to pay something like that. Not right now. Not even in 10 years. So what do I do if I can't pay? She asked. The doctor considered for a moment before referencing a clipboard. Well, there's a few treatments that are on the cheaper side of things. One of our top choices these days is the kind of execution style where we just take a knife and swing for it. Thoughts? And Mindy thought for a moment before politely declining. Up next, Don't Owe You a Thing by Gary Clark Jr. And after that, Not Dead Yet by Lord Huron. That was Break My Baby by Kaleo. I'm Taylor Barr, your midnight DJ. And it was a road trip. We were heading to a national park, maybe a forest. It could have been a desert. I do not remember because I was small. The point is, we were in the car for a long time, and I was becoming peckish. It had been a while since we had stopped to eat, and I was getting a bit anxious. I was getting restless. I was becoming something that I did not want to be. A bit of a nuisance as well as a spoilsport. The toys and books I had brought with me were boring by then. The games we played to pass the time were old, and the space between patience and the horror that lay after was growing thin. I was angry and hungry. I informed my parents of the situation, of the awful mood I was in and the pain in my stomach. Well, son, I've got this can of beans up here if you're really that hungry, my father said, turning around and taking his eyes off the road. A can of beans? I can't eat raw beans in a can. I don't even have a spoon. I especially did not have a can opener. But I played along. What kind of beans? I asked. He replied, Garbanzo. I cried and cursed at the sky. Up next, Driving the View by Sun Volt, and after that, Sophia by Clairo. You just heard The Dog Days Are Over by Florence and the Machine. I'm Taylor Barr, your midnight DJ, and the fire raged on, blazing through the old trees as if they were wax. Walls of flames danced across the forest, destroying everything in their wake. The inferno wasted no time. It made haste. It was fast. The plants stood no chance. The slower animals didn't either. It was the deer, mostly, that made it out alive. The rodents that had burrowed were suffocated by the smoke, and the birds of the area fell from the skies, poisoned by the fumes. It was a holocaust. A removal, a spur-of-the-moment accident that ended up killing hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of organisms. It was a tragedy of the highest degree, and all because of a careless smoker. He had thrown out his cigarette butt and lit a pile of dried leaves aflame. He could not have known the damage he would bring, but we cannot forgive him either. Though without it, others would not survive. Coyotes have been seen entering the forests after the flame had died, and the hardy seeds of redwoods were cooked open and allowed to sprout. It was a tragedy, yes, but nature has a way of flipping things like that. Just when you think it's all over, their life is continuing on. Up next, Out of My League by Fitz and the Tantrums. And after that, Hallucinogenics by Matt Mason. But before I let you go, it's just about midnight, and you know what that means. It's the end of my shift. But don't worry. It's Thursday. It is oh my gosh. Don't worry, I'll be here next week. So, today was a pretty good day. Tomorrow will be even better.